Welcome to Project Management for Peru State. I'm extremely excited to have you in my class. I'm making this video because I know that as a student, when I took online courses, that sort of level set, if you will, first class I always missed out on. It was something as opposed to the traditional classroom where you get to hear what some of this information means, you get a chance to have some sort of dialogue, etc. It was always missing in the online classes that I took, so I thought that this might be a way to negate some of that deficiency. So, going through the syllabus with you in a recording, hopefully that will add some value for you in understanding what's expected out of the course and what we'll be going over. My name is Andrew Sherwood. We'll just go through this line item here. My name is Andrew Sherwood. I earned an MBA from Creighton a couple years ago, Master's of Science in Organizational Management from Peru State, 2010 I think it was, and am a certified PMP, Project Management Professional through PMI. I'm available via telephone, calls, or email anytime. I don't really have traditional office hours some professors have, as I'm an adjunct. I'm currently with Lincoln Financial Group for my normal day job, if you will, as an internal consultant. I focus on data-based work, not database, sorry, data-based work. So work regarding getting the right numbers and metrics to the right people and doing some data analysis work. I usually manage projects as it relates to building these reports or changes in software or how SQL tables are joined, things of that nature. So I do a lot of project management in that aspect, usually software related, sometimes process, but generally software related. I can be reached at that phone number, 402-630-6080. That is my regular phone number. Please just don't abuse it, and we're good. Email address there is probably the best way to reach me, as I do check that regularly throughout the day. So you can certainly email me if you'd like. The required text for the course is a PMI student membership. You have to sign up for that ASAP, please. PMBOK 5th edition is part of that student membership, and then there'll be a case study that you'll need to download once the class begins. You don't need to worry about getting the case study in advance, but you do want to register for PMI as soon as possible. The expectations for the class and instructional approach, this is online. So most of the material is all found throughout Blackboard. I've built that out. I have a lot of videos included as an example. This one, because I just telling you what to read and then giving you a quiz, I don't think there's a ton of value. So I embedded a lot of videos, one for each assignment, a lot of videos from other vendors when we're looking at topics so that you don't have to just read about it, you can watch a video on it. So I include a lot of videos. Discussion board is obviously applicable as well, as I'm sure all of you understand, because this probably isn't anyone's first online class with Peru. Course description takes us to, I'm not going to read all of that. Essentially, it's telling you that project management is increasingly important and utilized as a formal occupation, if you will. So there's a lot of project managers out there that are following certain methodologies to make sure projects are run appropriately. One of those methodologies or prescriptions for best practices, if you would be PMI's approach, which is outlined in the PMBOK, and that's going to be the basis for our course because how universally accepted that it is. There are some other conflicting ways. So we're not going to focus just on PMI. We'll talk about project management in general, but the primary methodology, if you will, is going to be based on what they recommend, as it is so common. Good video to watch, just a couple minutes long, is that one. It'll tell you a little more about the organization and the methodology, or the PMBOK, if you will, that describes the methodology. Because we are focusing on a PMI methodology, I strongly encourage you to look into getting a certification while you're going through this course. The CAPM or PMP. CAPM if you are new to project management, PMP, if you have some experience in it. And this course, while it's certainly not required, it is strongly encouraged because a lot of the material that we're going to be going over would overlap with what you would want to study for that. So it's a great way to get two birds with one stone. Here are the course objectives. Again, I'm not going to read through each bullet line. That gets us to what everyone always questions. How do I earn my points? What's the criteria for grading, etc. So we'll go through that section here. Discussion board constitutes 70 points. So there's 7 posts that you're required to make, all worth 10 points. The initial post should be around 200 words or so. The topics are already listed out in the discussion board already. And then that initial post is due by Thursday. Excuse me. With subsequent posts, peer replies due that Sunday. Peer replies is not necessarily a specific length so much as just making sure you show that you read the post, your reply relates well. A couple things that I really look for in peer replies are probing questions to try to keep the discussion going, or personal relation to the initial post. So if somebody talks about something that you have experience with, sharing that experience is a huge value add for your peers. So something I always strongly encourage. I like to see those in your peer replies. And those peer replies, again, 2 of them outside of your post due on Sunday of each week. There are 6 quizzes throughout the course, each worth 20 points apiece. It's for the first 6 weeks of the course. They're over the reading from the PMBOK that you have. I guess I have to update this. I upped that to 120 minutes. So you have plenty of time because I don't expect you to memorize this information. I want you just to be able to find it. So you're not required at all to memorize that information in the PMBOK. It's too big of a book. But that does give you enough time to look up each answer. So that should help. There's 2 short assignments that are due. First one is a short paper on PMI, and there's a video on that one and more detailed. There's also a paper on a project charter. So in that, I give you a template that you have to fill out based on your case study. Those are both worth 50 points apiece. Excuse me. Those are both worth 50 points apiece, and they have their own videos that go into more specific information. On that same case study, you're going to do essentially a comprehensive review of the case study. You're going to talk about, and you're going to give me an abstract. You're going to give me all the negatives, all the positives, and then kind of what you would have done differently. That final submission also has a good video on it separately, so I won't go through that much more. Final exam is broken into 2 components. You have your traditional final, where you submit it, and there's no sort of turning back, if you will. And that constitutes 70 out of the 100 points, 70 questions. It's pulling from the same pool of questions as the prior quizzes, so you'll want to kind of take notes on things that you might have struggled with throughout because it's right from the same pool of questions. And then there's 30 points. I want you to be able to find out if you're ready for the test first. So there's a practice test, and you can take that practice test as many times as you want, and the top score is what's going to be retained. So it serves a couple purposes. It's an easy way to make sure you get some points. It is a way to find out if you're ready for the final. It is a way to study for the final because a lot of those questions, like I said, are from the same pool. So I think I've done that the last couple classes that I had, and students really found a lot of value in that. So that'll be how that final works. And the final and case study, final submission, that case study and the final exam are both due at the last day of class 5-6. Here's the points breakdown, how you can get to each letter grade. Late assignment policy. I don't normally take late work because I have everything listed out for you far in advance. So if something comes up on Sunday night, you're like, oh, I can't do it for a while, the idea that you waited that long is kind of bothersome. But that's not to say that I never accept late work. what I really look for is whether you're reaching out to me in advance of when it's due, or whether you're after the fact saying, "Oh, I needed more. Um, I needed more time because I didn't," whatever the case may be. So try to reach out to me in advance, and then I can try to make some accommodations. A day or two is not normally an issue if you tell me what happened, but if you're trying to submit a bunch of assignments late by multiple weeks, then it's probably not going to happen. This is just verbatim the college's incomplete coursework policy and academic integrity policy. You should have already had those in other classes, so I won't go over those. The academic integrity policy, I just want to call out, please don't plagiarize on these couple submissions that you have. Most of the work isn't stuff that there's even the opportunity to, but there is some. So please don't. It's something it stinks to deal with it. I don't want to fail somebody because they didn't properly cite things. So if you have any questions on whether something's cited correctly or not, you can certainly reach out to me. Title IX compliance, that's standard language for all syllabuses. So now I'll go through then the schedule, if you will. Week 1, listed out what we're going to do. That's when the PMI paper is assigned. It's due the following week. I usually have that set up kind of in a 2-week interval, if you will. Those assignments, you'll see that same thing repeated a couple times. So that's when it's assigned, and then it's due on the 27th. The week 2, you're just doing the quiz and discussion board, and the PMI paper then becomes due. Our 3rd week of class, there is no class, no expectations. That's listed as spring break, so there won't be anything going on that week. Week 4 is when the second of the small assignments is given out, and that's the project charter. Again, that charter has its own. That assignment has its own video, so it'll describe how that works. Short quiz, discussion board. Week 5 is when the project charter is due. All assignments are submitted through Blackboard. There's assignment links and everything, so you'll be doing everything through Blackboard. I presume that you're aware of that, but just in case. Another quiz, discussion board, and the project charter's due. Week 6, we'll get into communication risk management, just regular quiz and discussion board. Week 7 is when your final case study is assigned. Like with the other assignments, there's a detailed video that goes through how that's to be completed. You have your quiz and discussion board week 7. So there's 6 quizzes, but the 6th one is in week 7 because that week 3 there's nothing going on. And week 8 is final. Submit the final case study and complete the finals. All of this work, you can do any of it as far in advance as you want. I keep all assignments open because I know that people in an online environment tend to have more going on, if you will, than some traditional college students. So if you're going to be busy at a certain time and you want to work ahead, go for it. I open all the assignments up right away. That is the gist of the class. Because this is a one-way communication, there's not a lot of interaction. I don't know what other questions you may or may not have. So while I would obviously prefer dialogue or conversation, this I think is a happy median from what we can and can't do. So I hope there's some value here. Please reach out to me with any questions or concerns as we go through the course. I hope you find that I'm very open to phone calls, emails, etc. That's been my approach, at least. So I don't plan on changing any of that. All right. Well, best of luck to you as we get started. You have a good one.